Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Today's webinar is What's New in Essentials. I'm Kristen McGargle, Senior Marketing Manager here at Liquidware, and we're happy that you've joined us today. This webinar is being recorded. You'll receive a link to the recording within a few business days, and feel free to share it with a colleague. If at any point today you have a question or a comment, you can place it in the Q&A window, and we'll address it as time allows. Today we have Jason E. Smith, VP of Product Marketing and Alliances with Liquidware, James O'Regan, Product Marketing Manager, and Chris Walker, Senior Solutions Architect and Subject Matter Expert for Stratusphere UX. Jason, you want to get us started?
Thanks. These are always great. We do these every 6 months or so, and usually without fail. Actually, we have done them without fail. Maybe we've been a month late or so before, but the reason is we like to keep our customers and the community up to date with what is new, because we have a suite of many products with updates that happen throughout the year. And so if you've seen this before, you're likely going to see something new again. I am very excited to have our co-panelists with us today. We're going to focus on what's new in our suite of solutions. But we always start off just about every webinar with Liquidware, reminding you what we do, and this slide serves to do that. We really do provide the most DEX coverage in the industry. And by that, I mean we touch more parts of the digital employee experience than any other single vendor, especially independently across any type of Windows workspace, and we also support some of the other workspaces out there. We actually manage DEX with our user environment and application management solution known as ProfileUnity, managing DEX. We deliver applications that have a great digital employee experience with FlexApp. And in that way, we're delivering DEX. So managing DEX, delivering DEX, and then we monitor and we optimize the digital employee experience with Stratusphere UX, literally standing for user experience, that we innovated that term many years ago when we started it in the industry. And now with our real-time remediation solution known as Command Control, we control DEX in real time, reach out and touch someone with help desk operations and be able to see things in real time, not just near time. It has a DVR function, so you can go back in time and see things that were happening earlier in the day or earlier in the week if the reason why they called the help desk is not a present challenge, but then you can see why it was earlier and diagnose it very quickly. And so now you see what I mean about the most DEX coverage in the industry. Now we do have some people out there in the industry that compete with us on one or two of these solutions, but nobody provides the most DEX coverage that we do independently across all your Windows workspaces. And why this is key to be able to do this outside the stack of your VDI, DAS, or physical desktop environment is that Liquidware helps manage those and combine all those different experiences, whether it's Citrix, VMware, AVD, Division, physical desktops, combine them into one set of DEX solutions that help users log on and log off. It really decouples the experience from those platforms, so you can move to the platform of choice at any time and have minimum, if not zero, disruption in your users. Imagine them being able to log off of one platform and switch to another at a moment's notice, whether you're burst scaling or you need to do this for a work from home action or other things, and have zero disruptions. It's really a time saver for user productivity, and it also levels the playing field for when you're going through any type of disruptive change, like the move to Windows 11 that's happening right now. You need to have users have a consistent employee experience across all four of these key things. And when you're doing it independently, you are well set to be able to do this. So the time to choose Liquidware is before your next move to your next desktop. So this experience is decoupled. So if you're doing proof of concepts of major platforms and you're thinking about switching from one big DAS player to another, or VDI, or back to physical, now is the time to trial our solutions and to look at them. And if you're already a customer, like many of you are on here, you're in great shape to help move you through that process and manage your users in the new environment with a consistent digital employee experience across any of them. We're going to jump right into it with the updates of ProfileUnity and FlexApp now, and then we'll go over and we'll check on the updates of Stratusphere with Chris Walker, and then we'll move on to Command Control with James O'Regan. We want to do a poll at this time. Kristen's reminding me, and Kristen, you want to put that up?
Okay, you should be able to view the poll now. Does your organization plan to move or switch VDI DaaS multi-session platforms in 2024?
So, yep, the quicker you answer this question, the quicker we'll be able to see the result and go on with the webinar. And please do choose an answer there, and we'll see in real time what the attendees are saying about the possible move from one platform to another. And by that, we mean VMware to Citrix or Omnissa, whatever they're called now, to Citrix, or vice versa, or to AVD, or to coexist, or to burst scale into something else. Any other platform, Amazon or Digion, Nerdio with AVD, all those we consider a move to another platform.
Okay, we have 100% answered.
That's
and
great.
I will end the poll and share the results. 29% yes, and 71% no.
Yep, it is interesting. Dropped a little lower than it was, but you can still see a significant portion, almost 1/3 of you plan to switch platforms this year, and we're saying 2024, and maybe that's because there's less of 2024 left. We're almost halfway done, right? So do you plan to switch in the rest of 2024 is the way that could be interpreted, but a lot of times that's been at the 50% mark, but still a third of you, almost a third of you are saying you do plan to switch, and you'll be in good shape as one of the users of our suite of solutions. So the updates from ProfileUnity and FlexApp, some of these will be on one slide, and we like to go back about 18 months or so when we do what's new, and so you'll see things that happened about 18 months ago leading up to even things that were recently released. This is a screen capture of the UI. So if your UI does not look like this and have all the same icons that you're seeing on this, now's the time to upgrade. You can see what version number that you're on by looking in the left-hand corner, and you'll see that I actually took this screenshot just the other day when we were updating this deck for this. And so this is real time what these look like. You'll notice that I have focused in on 2 different colors of circles that are shaded. One's a little green, one's a little of a blue hue. And that's why I wanted to really talk about on ProfileUnity real quick, how ProfileUnity has moved into not only a user management, but application management solution as well. And in that way, the green ones really focus on some of the key features that help you manage your applications. And that is privilege elevation, application restrictions. Those will work across any type of application, regardless of how they're delivered. If they're virtualized, if they're from FlexApp, if they're from MSIX, if they're MSIs, you can raise the privileges for select applications. So a standard user can have their privileges raised to admin rights for an application. And then application restrictions, you can put something in the base image even, and selectively hide that away and cloak it away with that feature as well. Then we've got added features in here for AppStream from Amazon, MSIX, and AppV. The ability to provision and deploy those centrally with our context-aware settings is what most of those are about. And then you'll see our own FlexApp solution at the top row, the ability to attach applications, not put them in the base image. This is how you robustly manage FlexApp. Now you can deploy FlexApp 1 formats separately from this management console, but you get a lot more power with the power of the ProfileUnity management console to be able to do context-aware filters and also raise those privileges and application restrictions if you combine those actions with the full ProfileUnity. And then you see the other green dots, we'll skip around a little bit, file associations on the endpoint, being able to say, you know, my PDF reader writer should always go to whatever, pointing to Foxit Reader or maybe to the Adobe suite. You want a consistent user experience across all your users. You can put those in and associate those file associations there as a standard. Application launcher, when those applications are launched on the endpoint automatically, similar to how you would use published applications to get those to an endpoint. And then inventory of applications, knowing what's installed quickly on endpoints, it reports back to our management console. The ability to manage Omnis's ThinApp, VMware ThinApp there on the final row, and to drop off shortcuts on a desktop. Maybe you've got a bunch of SaaS applications and you want to put the Salesforce.com shortcut on your sales reps endpoints or Marketo or things like that for the marketing people, or maybe it's any other SaaS app shortcut. You can put those out there and deploy those to a unique group in that way. There's other things that work with application management, such as the trigger points I didn't highlight and some of the other things, but those are some of the key areas in green. Now, if you look at the blue, that's the user management side of things, going beyond Microsoft group policy preferences to map drives, printers, being able to manage the user profile with or without Microsoft FS Logic. So we run after that with our portability settings and can help provide business continuity. And when that profile becomes corrupt with FS Logics, we can restore it at a moment's notice, because that we are keeping a hive of the profile separately that is only run with user differentials at each logon. So that logon is really fast all the time, except when you need to restore that profile, a few extra seconds will rebuild that entire profile when you blow out that FS Logics profile, or even our own profile disk if it becomes corrupt. So we have a complementary profile solution in there. It also helps you go across Windows 10, Windows 11, all the way through all versions of Windows that are supported, even the server versions. So it remediates those separate versions. So if you've got separate FS Logics profiles that are sitting there for different versions of Windows, we keep those in sync with our portability as well. So your user has one consistent set of settings across all those. And then registry settings, we can do these things in the registry all the way to the local machine level, so an admin level, so you can lock down machines and things like that, disable USB, very powerful the way you can do that. If you want to just redirect portions of the registry, we have that in there too. We work well with your existing ADMX templates. You can have ProfileUnity run those consistently across the board there. And then folder redirection is standard, but underneath it, we can actually migrate the contents of a folder like documents and put you into a best practices situation there to keep things on a central file share or in a cloud file share. So you have, again, business continuity for the user experience. Those things on the left are the filter management that I mentioned earlier. Portability management and inventory management go hand in hand with some of the other things I already discussed. So you use as much or as little as you need. You can see that the red numbers indicate how many configurations are under each one of these things. So not even all of these are configured in this case, but that's what ProfileUnity currently looks like. Again, if you don't have every one of those icons and you don't have 6.8.6.8 there at the top, it's time for you to upgrade. And you can easily upgrade by going over to the admin tab, which is over in the right-hand corner of the screen where the username is. And you can look for any pending updates there to automate the process of updating your management console and updating your agents. The leadership that ProfileUnity continues to provide in the industry is really unparalleled for user environment management. If you look at user environment management, the only solutions that are out there other than ProfileUnity that are actively updated and innovated may be in some of the stacks, like VMware has a tool that's out there as part of Horizon, and also Citrix has a tool that's out there. We go beyond those with our innovation that you've already seen today and some of those feature sets, and then we work independently across all Windows desktops. So when you're headed to something like AVD and Windows 365 and have very little options for full UEM, you have ProfileUnity. Other platforms have chosen it, like Digital Frame. OEMs are Profile Disk. So if you're using the Profile Disk feature in Digital Frame, that's our Profile Disk. It's akin to an FS Logics, but they chose us specifically for the way that we run very efficiently at log on, log off, and then have the possibility of letting users choose the upgrade to the full version of ProfileUnity. Other platforms like the emerging HP Anywhere platform has selected ProfileUnity and FlexApp as a recommended solution for their UEM and application deployment needs, to recommend those to customers if needed. And then we are the leading UEM solution across all different types of deployments. I mentioned that a bit earlier. And customers across all different disparate workspaces, especially when they have different ways of running Windows, continue to choose ProfileUnity. And some of the largest deployments of ProfileUnity are in Citrix, VMware, and Microsoft environments, and many are alongside FSLogix, as already mentioned. So it's even fine to have some overlapping tools like an FSLogix profile to manage, but if you want full nonstop desktops with business continuity and disaster recovery built in, a lot of customers choose to run us either instead of FSLogix or alongside of it. Likewise, FlexApp has a ton of updates that have happened over the years and a lot of industry first. The innovation in there is really unparalleled again. It has a very high compatibility rating with the types of applications that it can run. The self-contained apps out there with no heavy player is very unique. And that by that I mean self-contained FlexApp one format, deploy those by any means necessary, including Microsoft Intune, maybe Avanti DSM, that deployment tool out there, or any other means, even if you wanted to do it with deploy those outside of FlexApp. It's easy to do without any other tool set being on your desktop environment in no other infrastructure except for a file share to share out those FlexApp ones. Now you can also do that, and we'll mention this a little bit later, even with Citrix. Citrix's embedded integration for FlexApp One in that same way to be able to deploy those directly in their DAS solution, and with support for CVAD coming later this year. Again, I'll show that on the slide in a bit. FlexApp's automated packaging, there's nothing else like it in the industry. You may have heard that another solution out there has automated packaging, but it's not fully unattended. We work with silent switches and can literally point our architecture that you set up to your storage area of installers. And I like to say, set it on a Friday, come back on a Monday, and you can see hundreds of applications already packaged, ready to test and deploy right there in your ProfileUnity management console. And so it's fully unattended packaging at scale. And we've done this for organizations that have hundreds, if not 1,000 or more applications. FlexApp has been one of the hottest selling solutions with Liquidware, and we've had collaboration with ABD and Windows 365 lately, and there's more to come. So keep your eye on this a little later this year for other collaboration with that platform. We're fully compatible across those solutions, but look for tighter integration. And FlexApp continues to innovate, and we have multiple new features. Some of those you'll see in the coming slides. So moving right into what the updates have been in the last sometimes 18 months. This time we're going to go back for this solution as far as November. We innovated in ProfileUnity. We gave session isolation and custom folder redirection. And the log off process has become 50% faster. And we see that this really matters. A lot of times over the years, customers told us log offs really don't matter or impact the environment as much. But we have heard from several lately that they wanted to see faster log offs because sometimes users are waiting for that complete log off so they can log on either to a different desktop or move about their day faster. And we've sped that process up too with a more efficient processing at the end. And of course, we always have quality of assurance bugs that we fix in between releases. In FlexApp 6.8.6, at the same time that version of ProfileUnity was released, it had even more functionality released. Offline FlexApps with the ability to cache the application, including bandwidth and throttling options for FlexApp is now in there. Now, you've heard us talk about FlexApp One applications can go offline. Well, traditional FlexApps can go offline now as well. So that's pretty cool. You can even use a traditional FlexApp, not the self-contained format, and it becomes a self-contained format on the endpoint, not FlexApp One necessarily in this case, but just regular FlexApp can go offline. And where this matters, if you're deploying those applications to a laptop, that user can easily go offline now if you have that most recent version and that most recent agent installed. and they can have that application even on a plane or anywhere else disconnected. And there's still big use cases for FlexApp 1 because remember that self-contained can go offline and can be deployed by any means necessary. So that's the big difference in there of those two formats. Non-plug and play driver support for FlexApp there gives us higher compatibility among the different types of applications, even higher than we had before. And then dependent service handling, we introduced there, supporting apps that may have one service dependent on another. And then of course, bug fixes there too. The FlexApp 1 feature had support, official support for OAuth to support zero trust security. Now this is really cool. You can take any application that can be packaged up with FlexApp, and with FlexApp 1, you can add OAuth to it to give you zero trust. So those types of things that you're doing with Microsoft Authenticator or Google Authenticator, you can easily integrate that into any app. Now there's no need to build those in from a third party. If you need that type of security, just package them up with FlexApp 1, and you can check a few boxes and you can get OAuth built in there. Enhanced support for applications larger than 4 gigabytes. We had some workarounds before, but now we easily support those as well. Bug fixes for FlexApp 1. And then the automated packaging architecture got major updates too. FlexApp 1 support in there, so you can also use the automated packaging to run through all your packages and turn those into FlexApp 1s. Enhanced compatibility, now a high compatibility mode that was formerly only in the FlexApp packaging console. So it was only in the one-off version of packaging apps before. Now you can do that at scale. And we can optimize your capture machines automatically there. And that was formerly only in the FlexApp packaging console. So when you're setting up multiple machines, like I said, set it on a Friday, come back on a Monday, and those multiple package machines, they can be totally auto-optimized when you're setting them up. Runtimes are also automatically installed, so it doesn't nag you to go out and grab another thing when you're setting that up. And then we have continuous packaging. You can actually do non-stop packaging with our automated packaging process. So maybe you've got an app that's trusted, like a Google Chrome app, and you say, you know what, these have been reliable without fail, and I've got a certain set of machines, maybe the call center, that I just want to put non-stop packaging in there. It can detect that a package is located and come in fresh, like the installer. It'll package that up, assign it, and send it out. So continuous packaging in there. You want to make sure those are very trusted applications, of course, if you want to try out that new feature, but it is another nice to have out there and more innovation that you have not seen in any other vendor in this industry. So we had a R1 update as well with FlexApp and ProfileUnity. I've got these combined on one slide here, so we can run through these pretty quick. This just happened a few months ago. Now ProfileUnity enhancements to be the multi-tenant portion to be fully compatible with Entra ID, which we know is formerly Azure Active Directory, giving you that group lookup and filter support and better integration for large enterprises that are using Entra ID.
Actually, Jason, there's a question in there that this addresses exactly. Any plans for something more SaaS-based to manage off-domain network devices? So this, like my laptop, is Azure AD joined or Entra ID joined, and it can still be managed by ProfileUnity. So that the 686R1 addresses that specific that question. James, did you have anything you wanted to add in around that question? Okay.
Thanks. So optimize license use during Entra ID self-service password reset. So it makes sure that you're not using more than one license of ProfileUnity. So it keeps you streamlined there. So you're not nagged for an additional license. And then enhance security over on the FlexApp side with the OAuth integration in multi-user Windows. And that's for multi-user OSs like Windows 10 multi-user as well as Windows 11. That covers your AVD and XenApp environments exclusively. That was before in FlexApp 1. And new FlexApp 1 session isolation support, meaning you can run FlexApp 1s now in multi-user machine environments, which is really cool especially because of the added integration that we've got with Citrix now. And then the overall benefits there of that release aligning with your zero trust security model, building those out, improving your IT administration efficiency, and strengthening the position that we offer in DEX across the market there. I do want to talk about some huge strides that we've made in the industry. As you can imagine, when you have a unique application format like FlexApp, you want it to be well accepted for customers. And there, you could, anybody feel free to challenge me on this. There is no other solution in the industry that has lined up as much industry support as FlexApp, being a standard for a third party coming to market with a format such as FlexApp. You see there that we have testing and validation vendors on that first row, application readiness, Remo 3, and Access IT automation. We've got one or two that have come to us requesting that they also can offer us support. So we're working with even more than that. And then when you work with when you're looking at the major platforms, the integration work that we did with Microsoft Intune was well received in the community. You can take those FlexApp ones and you can render those out and you can put them right into Microsoft Intune for deployment. It's tough to find any other solution that is decoupled in that way that supports the industry standard of Microsoft Intune. You can do the same thing with VMware Omnisys Workspace ONE. It can deploy our applications. Nerdio can as well. And this integration for Citrix that was just recently launched in the last few weeks from Citrix, where they're taking Citrix Web Studio and they can deploy a FlexApp One, is also unparalleled. The only other vendor that they supported out there was, of course, Microsoft, and now we're happy to be in there as well. Again, there's a slide coming for that. We're almost done with the FlexApp and the ProfileUnity updates. But here's a quick screenshot of what the OAuth integration looks like. Now, this goes back 2 releases ago since November, as I mentioned, but still wanted to brag about this because this takes any application, and you see a simple example like Notepad++ here. It gets a pop-up and integration with your OAuth solution, such as, like I said, Google Authenticator or Microsoft. Actually, Microsoft, Chris and James, is Microsoft the only one we work with right now, or is it Google as well? You know the answer to that? Now I'm questioning myself, but at least the Microsoft one, and you have that full integration with your OAuth. But most any solution with OAuth, I believe, is supported there. We've only seen Microsoft request to date. Here is that Citrix integration that I was bragging about. Now, we have been compatible with Citrix for a very long time. This is not compatibility with working in Citrix with FlexApp. This is about Citrix saying and hearing from our joint customers that the joint customers wanted a way to deploy FlexApp applications without leaving the Citrix management environment. And now you can easily do that in Citrix DAS. This shows up in Web Studio, and it shows up in your management console there, right alongside Microsoft MSIX, AppV, and now FlexApp One is a checkbox in there. And when you check that box, you simply go out to a file share where your FlexApp Ones are housed, those self-contained folders, file formats, and then you deploy those within the Citrix DAS, Citrix Web Studio for DAS. You deploy those directly out there to an assignment group. And so it makes it very easy without leaving their console to be able to do this. And we're proud to be, like I said, the only independent vendor that's been supported there. And you can easily trial this if you're a Citrix customer. We have FlexApp One packages out on this website where this barcode is. I realize you can't link to this, you can't click on this URL. We will put it in the chat window in just a few minutes. You can click on that, put in your name and email, and you'll have about 8 packages out there, maybe 9, that you can actually grab, put them on a file share, and you can trial this in Citrix DAS right now. This is coming for CVAD as well later this year. And there's this video out there that talks about it, and you can see the demo all about it on our website. And you can, if you've been on social media, you've seen that too. I do want to mention that you need to be on Citrix DAS 2311 and later. That was released back in December. So actually this functionality has been around for months, but we've just now announced it was Citrix as we were going through a tech preview, but it's turned on in there. The feature flag's turned on for everyone that has 2311 and later. So if you have that in your lab, you'll have access to it. If you run into anything there, there's some support on that URL to get support there. And you can also reach out to us at info@liquidware at any time. That barcode there, that QR code, will also take you to that site. So bookmark that maybe with your phone, send it to yourself so you don't forget that you can easily trial that. And then if you're a FlexApp customer, this is included functionality. You have access to this. You are licensed for this. If you're already licensed for Citrix, this is for no extra charge. So very happy about that. And now we'll get on to the next slide, and we'll hand things over to James.
Thanks very much, Jason. Okay, thanks everyone. So just wanted to give you an update on where we are with Command Control. Brief overview. Command Control, we launched it in August of last year. It is our SaaS-based real-time remediation solution that allows you to manage any Windows or even Mac. Simply by installing an agent. The agent then talks to our console and sends all the console to our control plane. Next slide, please. Okay, so just to recap, before we get into the updates, what the 4 key innovations were of Command Control at release. So the first one is DVR playback. So this captures up to 7 days of history. So Command Control very much focused on real time. The console updates every 3 seconds the metrics, but what we do have is the ability to record all of the history of all the metrics for up to 7 days, and then they can be used for troubleshooting. And you can go pinpoint, say if someone contacts you and says, oh, I had this incident at this particular time on this day, you can go look at that. You have a kind of a DVR playback button, and you can scroll through and see what occurred at the time, and it just helps that whole kind of troubleshooting resolution. Then we have switch. So what we know about Command Control very much focused on work from anywhere. Most people who work for anywhere are connecting through to some sort of cloud VDI or cloud DAS system. So what Switch does is it gives you, say you're looking at the cloud host and you're going, oh, I don't know what endpoint this is related to. Utilizing Switch, you can get a side-by-side comparison of the metrics for the host and the endpoint. And we've made, because the agent is present on both those both devices, you can get a kind of association, so you can see which endpoint is connected to which cloud host. So again, it's all about kind of speeding up that kind of troubleshooting process. So just the other 2 kind of innovations we have. So what we have is we have our ChatGPT integration for process identification. Essentially what this is we have a task manager view within Command Control. Lists all of the processes like you would on any machine, but there is a ChatGPT icon beside it. And with that icon, you click that and it gives you a detailed overview of what that process is. So you're not going off searching the web, clicking on websites that may potentially contain malware, anything like that. It's all contained within the console. You can look at that process, determine what it is, and if you don't like it, you can either stop that process and just kill it off. So it just, again, is all about kind of aiding you in process identification. Protocol mirroring kind of goes hand in hand with Switch. So when you open up that second side-by-side analysis, the first thing it brings in is the display metric from the cloud host into the metrics for the endpoint. So again, this is all about, you can look and see, is the display protocol causing the issue that you're investigating. And again, it's all about that kind of end-to-end visibility. Okay, so let's move on to some of the new features. So Command Control 1.1 was released 2 weeks ago. And one of the things we brought in is we wanted to be able to give people the ability to scale on demand with completely frictionless. So within Within your tenant, you have the ability to increase your license count either using a credit card or a bank. You don't have to send it off. It all does it instantly, and then the number of licenses in the tenant are increased seamlessly. So it's all about that kind of frictionless ability to scale. This is obviously a SaaS product, so that's essential. So that's just one of the new features of Command Control. Another new feature is our advanced diagnostics. Within advanced diagnostics is the ability to export the event viewer. So if you've looked at Command Control before, you have a whole section of diagnostics. We have a new one now. You have the ability to export any of the event viewer logs, be that application, security, or the system log, and to be able to review it. Again, it's all about kind of pinpointing, resolving those issues. And this is just another addition to all of the other diagnostic tools we have already, like speed test, like looking at GPO, pings, trace routes, all of that. So again, it's just adding, again, giving you more and more information. And a few others. We've done some back-end stuff around onboarding and collaborating on the platform. Gateway traffic control is all around kind of controlling the numbers of pings that are coming in from a particular workstation. So all about kind of that traffic management. And then finally, as I said, I already talked about process identification. But what we've done is we've enhanced the versions of ChatGPT supported all the way up to for Omni. So these are just some of the features that have come in this release. And next slide. Okay, so just to kind of recap, so we, as always, have our community edition. This is a free edition. You get 5 machines, you get 24 hours of history, and all of the other features are included and enabled. And then we have our professional edition. So, yeah, you can go to the next slide. Yeah, so if you want to sign up for Command Control, you can go to this URL. There is also a QR code. There's also a QR code on the screen. So use your phone, take a picture, sign up today, and away you go. You have full access to that. As I said, just to finish, Community Edition, you can utilize with up to 5 machines for free. So if you need to do some troubleshooting for family or something like that, or you can sign up for the professional edition, which gives you that 15-day trial. And then, as I said, if you wish to purchase, you can utilize your credit card. So that's an overview of Command Control. So I think it's on to Chris.
Thanks, James. Basically, digital employee experience. A lot of people ask, why do we have 2 different diagnostic platforms? Stratusphere has been around for over 15 years doing digital employee experience, ranking the users and the machines based on how their empirical data. We recently added in here is now user sentiment. So next slide, please. So new stuff, proud to release 6.7 with some new user interfaces, new views to the data, highly organized, and workflows inside of the interface so that you can move through the data faster and identify issues better. New metrics, I talked about user sentiment, where we actually ask the user question. How is your login experience? How is your application experience? They can provide red, green, or yellow, good, fair, or poor feedback. They can type in specific information to give better feedback directly about their experience. And that can be automated to ask them at a certain time period, or they can click a button and say, give feedback right now. We've also added in machine internet connectivity speed test. So that if your users are at home, and you can filter this down so it doesn't run in the office, but when they go home, they can do a speed test. It's also checking their domain or their default domain control or the DNS servers and default gateway. Profile container metrics. Yes, we're doing that for both ProfileUnity and FS Logic. So what's the state of the profile disk and how is it performing? Log off breakdown. So we've had boot and log on for several years now, and we recently added log off breakdown into Stratusphere as well. For our Dizzy Unframe customers, we now support the Dizzy Unframe protocol and process write metrics. So on the local hard drive, what is doing all the writes to my system by application. Where is it writing to and how much is it writing? Because reads are pretty inexpensive. Most of the time they're cached, but writes have to be committed to the disk, and that can be very expensive, especially in a VDI environment. Zombied and orphaned processes. So the ability to identify those processes that have gotten zombied or orphaned inside the system. Trust me, there are a lot of them. And we don't let you actually kill them. My developers, it was the first question I asked was, hey, can I kill those processes? Developers said, no, that is very dangerous. Next slide. All right, the enhanced UI. Here you're looking at our summary tabs. This is your key performance indicators: machine user experience, network security, workspace impact, uptime, operating systems. So this is more of a KPI, key performance indicators in the environment. And yes, you can drill down on each one of these and find out what affects each one of those, or what's causing me to have a poor user experience in my environment through the workflows. Next slide. Detailed view. This is the rewrite that is going to happen in work to replace the advanced inspectors. You see up there, the advanced inspector is still there. A lot of customers still love it, has a lot of really good data. But now this detailed inspector has the ability to actually save your view. You can add columns on the fly very, very easily, wizards throughout the system to get me to the data as I need it. I then save that view and come back and load it several months later when I need that view that I'd already built. Next slide. Log off breakdown. As Jason talked about earlier, we're trying to optimize ProfileUnity to get that log off process better inside the system. So we're collecting the event logs as a profile disk mounted, things like that, to make sure that we can optimize that login process. Any processes that may get stuck during the login process and hold the machine up, we're tracking all of that in the system, so you can optimize that log off process inside the environment. Next slide. The machine internet connectivity, this is a speed test, a speedtest.net, all the same data that you get. So the amount of upload and download speed, where did it connect to, who's your internet service provider. So all that stuff, if you went to speedtest.net, you're getting exactly the same data here. A lot of our customers have asked, hey, I don't want to run it to speedtest.net. Can I run it to my data center? So we are working on that technology as well, so that you can actually test it to, say, your Azure tenant or something like that, or into your data center. Next slide. User sentiment. This is really cool. So it's to be part of Gartner's digital employee experience, you have to have user sentiment. Even though we've been doing, Liquidware Stratusphere has been doing user experience scoring for over 15 years now. We've just recently added in user sentiment. So the ability to ask questions on the fly. So every 2 hours, every 4 hours, once every 24 hours, however you want to do it. And then the user can also pick to send feedback right now. Next slide. A new management report. So we've been doing a lot in Power BI. We took some of that Power BI work, and this is a new report. This didn't come in the base 6.7, but if you contact one of your field SEs, we can install this into your Stratusphere 6.7. This is a management report, kind of an executive, red is bad, green is good. How is my environment looking over some of the key metrics that management will be would like to see? My observed users, my observed machines, application load time, login information, is it going up or down? So just a really nice, pretty, what's the status? Compare this week to last week, this month to last month. Next slide. All right, James.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, so just wanted to talk briefly about a few of the things we have going on with Liquidware. One of them is our community. This is on Slack. We launched it in August 2023. We're currently at around 240 members and we're growing. The great thing about our Slack community is that you have access to the whole of Liquidware. You can ask Chris a question, you can ask Jason a question, you can even ask David, our CTO, a question, and you will get responses from everyone within Liquidware. So if you've got any kind of technical questions, all of our product managers are on there. As I said, our SMEs are on there. So any kind of questions, or if you just got a general question, just pop it in there. I will find out who needs to answer it for you. So you can use the QR code on screen to sign up for the community. Next slide. Okay, so just want to talk briefly. Again, in 2023, we launched our podcast, Liquidware Chats. It's where I sit down with some of the biggest names in end user computing. You can see some of them listed there. Our most recent episode was with Jarian Gibson. Jarian has been in the EUC community for a very long time and is now the chairperson of the newly formed World of EUC, which has come out of all the kind of changes with what was going on with CUGC. But it's now it's not focused on one vendor. It's completely independent organization. And I think you'll be hearing more and more about some independent events coming up. So next slide.
James, we have a quick question here.
Yes.
When is it appropriate to use the Slack community versus a support ticket? Does Liquidware have a preference?
I think sometimes the issues, if we can't answer them, will require a support ticket. But I've seen lots of issues being resolved in community, and then I've seen others which we have come back and said it would be better because it's a more in-depth technical issue. That if you log it as a support ticket, but
I think if it helps fix, if you think, and this is subjective, right? But if you think it's going to help fix something for a lot of people, and maybe they didn't know about it, that would be a perfect thing for Slack. So it's community sharing of something, or it's a how-to, or things like that. If it's a unique support situation where maybe it's a driver conflict with a very specific piece of software, something like that, it would probably be better in support. That's just an example.
Yeah, that's a good example.
Great, thanks.
Okay. Okay, so so just to focus on one of the things we're really proud of at Liquidware is our customer support. We've got this support portal. It's on screen here. You can access it via our website. Our customer satisfaction level at 98%. We have some amazing expert on our support team, and so if you need anything, we have a knowledge base there with lots of articles as well. So next slide.
Clicky, there we go. Yep, we'll be happy.
Anyone got any questions?
Any outstanding questions? We had a few come in during the webinar today. Very good questions. Let's take a moment to look. We really appreciate everyone attending today. And you've seen now what's new, not just what's new, but I like to say what's new lately. So we go back a couple of releases in some cases, and you see a lot of innovation in our solutions throughout all 4 of our solutions now, and how we provide the most decks, and we continue to innovate in there with investments that go right back into our solutions. Again, Liquidware is a privately owned company, and we're funded by the success of our customers. And we like to say that we also innovated given customer input. Everything that you see in every one of our solutions is not in there because we thought of a problem to solve ourselves. No, a customer had a challenge or a problem in the industry, and they said, can you help solve this? And that's where you see a lot of our innovation coming into play.
Yeah, back to that question about the independent machines that aren't Azure joined or not domain joined. That is becoming the norm for a lot of people, is to do Azure tenant join. And we have done a lot of stuff with ProfileUnity and FlexApp 1 to be able to service that market. I mean, that's been a huge part of our growth in those 2 technologies, is non-domain joined machines and being able to manage those machines, monitor them, and diagnose them and resolve them in the field. A big part of our development this year.
Absolutely, and it's part of the reason we have command control is because of how the whole thing has changed, and everyone is working from anywhere, and they're using whatever machine to log on to a cloud or a cloud VDI or DAS host. So that's definitely a good point.
would go back to that SaaS question as well Chris answered. If you're talking about our solutions being more SaaS based, because they're, and that at that time we were talking about ProfileUnity during today's webinar. If you're looking at our solutions being more SaaS based, yes, keep your eye on where ProfileUnity is headed in the next 18 to 24 months or less, and you'll see it evolve towards a more SaaS based solution.
Yeah, people have asked if Stratusphere is going to be SaaS based. It will never be SaaS based. It's an on-premise solution. Our command control is our SaaS-based solution. So two different use cases for those systems.
And a big reason why Stratusphere is not is because we are sought after for our attention to security and the way that we do things. And that solution actually started out really focused on security many years ago. And we do we help a lot of customers in the federal space that have to be highly secure, and they need to very much limit where data goes and where it transfers, how it transfers when they're looking at user experience data. And that's a key reason why Stratusphere will remain an on-prem solution. But yet, if you want to, you can host, the Stratusphere appliance in any cloud of your choice. It's up to you. Yep.
Yeah, someone just asked about our hot fixes not being in the Slack channel. If you log into the support pages and follow the page, not the folder, follow the page of hot fixes for all of our solutions, you will be notified if there's a new hot fix for any of our products. So that's been, actually I've had that question several times over the past couple months. Hey, this didn't update. But if you follow the page instead of the folder, you will be alerted on any new articles in there. But that's a good point. It's not on our Slack, that is on the support page. But you got to follow the page for it to notify you. Okay.
And we can, Jeff would be glad to discuss internally how we can make sure that we post there's a hot fix out there in the community. That's great input. Thank you.
Yeah. I just responded to Jeff and said that I'm going to set up a channel actually on the Slack to do that. So we will get that done.
Cool.
Great. Kristen, you want to bring us home in today's webinar?
Sure, would be happy to. Just placed in the chat feature too. If you are looking for any information, you can go to liquidware.com downloads or liquidware.com. Thank you so much to James, Jason, and Chris Walker for joining us today, and thanks for all of you for logging in. Keep an eye out in your email within a business day or two for a link to this recording, and then feel free to share it with a colleague. Any questions that you may have, you can always reach out to sales@Liquidware or marketing@liquidware.com. Everyone, thanks for joining. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.